Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and we're going to be breaking down the dimensional heroes that we got. And of course, this time we're going to be looking at the brand new one with Sung Jin Woo. Now, overall, I know a lot of players are super disappointed with the hero, with the build of the hero, that they used a very basic version versus the mage side with the summoning ability and everything else. But it seems like in conjunction with both of the heroes that came from the solo leveling crossover, they go in unison, and the skills and abilities really prove it right here. When they are together, they have a lot of different abilities, not only survivability, but also the ability for Cha to actually do crits with her divine light, so her divine damage. So overall, they're going to be run together. It seems like in conjunction is going to be awesome to see, being able to have two damage dealers in formations. So we want to break it down, want to hop over and break down the guide from Rakude and Arkman. Absolutely epic with these guides. So let me pull them up, hop over and show you exactly what we're looking at and break down this guide. So here we are looking at Sung Jin Woo, the Shadow Monarch. And overall, like I said, with this one, it is still very, very new. We know the hero. If you purchase the hero, congratulations, you already have the hero. Don't have to worry about the resources. But if you're going through and you're waiting the full, and I believe it's like 52 days before you can get them, it's going to be kind of interesting. So he's shaping up as a control-orientated DPS, very strong damage dealer in longer fights. So thinking about something like the Cursed Realm, where it is a full minute 30. Then when you put Shahe in there, again, it could be more of a support role that he's playing, allowing her to really maximize the damage. Not going to spend a lot of time going through these skills and upgrades. First one, of course, Killer Intuition. We looked at all of these before. It's pretty interesting that every time he uses it, it gives him 100 energy, which means he could spam his ultimate and crowd control. That is where it is going to be imperative when he gets this little screen that levels up. So pretty cool. Now, one thing to note with Shadow Hunt, the Abominable Will, is the ability to mitigate damage. Now, we have seen this with a lot of heroes in AFK Arena. They just get absolutely wrecked when they go on the enemy side. That is the reason why with this one, where he has the ability to mitigate damage or be untargetable, is going to make a big difference with survivability. Shadow Hunt does a bit of everything, and it does boost up a lot of his damage, giving the exposed ability. Now, also remember, with the exposed ability and increasing the damage that your heroes are doing, they're also increasing the damage that everyone else is doing, including his counterpart that is in the formation. And then solo leveling, this one is kind of crazy. So if you've heavily invested in him, it'll increase the initial stats, and then it levels up to 5 times, which is crazy, giving him 200% of the attack, defense, and HP rating, which is kind of a really big PvP machine, but then again, has a massive AoE control, which is going to be crazy. If you get him to the E60, he grants himself 75% of the initial crit, amplification, dodge, and accuracy, which again is kind of crazy. If you have Shot in the team, it will grant 75% of the effects to her, making her an absolute boss killer. Now, like I said earlier with the exchange event, if you're saving your resources, honestly, it is well worth it to go in here, spend your $15, and honestly, I would build Shahe before I would build Sung Jin Woo, just for the simple fact it seems like she's going to have a lot more damage, be a lot more of a carrier, but we also don't know how dependent she is going to be on him and the buffs that he's giving her, and also the ability to amplify that damage, that critical damage that we're seeing from Divine Light. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see exactly what that's going to look like. Now, breaking down his build. Now, unfortunately, very similar to what we see from Shahe. Investment is plus 30 is good to have, plus 40 is must have. This is another hero, so both of them are requiring the plus 40 signature items. And you can see at a plus 30, he becomes an energy debuffer, which is good when he applies that debuff. Also that exposed. The 40 is straightforward. Enemies that are poison will take 60% more damage. That is broken. That is absolutely kind of crazy. That when they are poisoned basically means a permanent 60% increased damage for the entire team. That is the reason the plus 40 is an absolute must have. When you combine it with the E30, which we'll just look at in a minute, increases his damage against enemies that is exposed, can really throw up some very, very massive numbers. Now, going from the 30 to a 40, he will increase his own attack, crit, and insight. So again, that mass crowd control that he has seems like it's going to be very important when it comes to a collection as well. Looking at the furniture, very good at a 3 of 9. 9 of 9 is good to have. Now, the 3 of 9 cast that Shadow Hunt immediately whenever he levels up. So again, survivability issues that we could possibly see with the hero. This is going to mitigate them in its entirety, granting him that 6-second untargetable window. And then when it ends, he's got that 45% damage resistance, which is huge, and 60% more damage with again, is kind of crazy with the damage that he puts out. Now, the 9 of 9 ignores the enemy's damage resistance for 5 seconds after he levels up. Remember, he can only level up, I believe it is 5 times. So you could have a little bit more damage. There's a heal in there, but I don't like the heal because it is kind of situational, where if he is shielded, if he's immune, if he already has full HP, of course, that HP or that heal is not going to do anything. Then we look at the engraving, very similar to what we see with Shahe. The engraving grants 4 seconds of that 35% damage resistance, like we were talking about. Very good when it comes to PvP, absolutely going to have that. Then when you get to the 60, which is a must-have, it grants 15% of his initial crit damage amplification, dodge, and accuracy every time he levels up. Now, again, if he levels up 5 times, it's going to be kind of crazy. But because even noting here, crit will be in the 65 to 75% range, which means if he's granting about 10 crit per level, giving that he also is crit block resistance debuffer, this means you will crit almost the entire time. So it's almost reminding me of when we got Joker. If you were around a while ago when we did get Joker, really did make a big difference, as a crit damage amplification should be capped as well in longer fights, especially if you have one mythic CDA. Now we know, looking at the collection, that of course it is going to be the awakened version of Thane, or it's going to be Thane's collection in here, because it's super broken. So offensive, you can see we have attack, and then we have that crit, and the crit damage amplification is going to make a big difference in here with the abilities that we have. And then of course, offensive, you could throw in a little bit of insight for the crowd control. There isn't much debate. It's going to be a level 3 collection. It's going to be that ability to not only buff up with everything he does, but the collection is going to yield him a lot more attack, going to also yield him that crit damage amplification, and the damage that he gets, even at level 3, increases the holder attack whenever he lands a critical strike. If this hero is doing critical strikes almost the entire time, is ideal for Sung, since he has really high attack and his passive, and he self-buffs his crit, meaning the crit and the attack rating you're going to get from this is just going to continue to go higher, which is pretty crazy to think how they built him. And even though he is, again, kind of more of a basic hero, like what the anime that players were kind of upset about, he has a really cool kit overall, and how he works in conjunction. Right here, Sung Jin Woo is very clearly designed to be played along Shahe. One-handy buffs her, as well as that 75% value, but the crit with that exposed debuff is going to be huge. And then looking at the ability from, having 2 or 3 other support heroes in addition to these 2 damage dealers would be really huge, because of the damage dealing aspect, not only carrying it, but being able to raise that top end damage quite a bit. Now, he is a ranger, decent damage dealer over a long fight, great utility with the SI 40, the signature item 40, but it's going to be interesting that he gets stronger and stronger as it progresses. So again, when you think of something like the Curse Realm, where it's a minute 30, it seems like that is going to be the ability to actually gain him 5 levels. But it also means on the flip side, we might see little to no utility of him, just based on where he would fall, like within the Nightmare Corridor, because it can be, a 5-second, 8-second, 12-second battle. Not being able to level up at all because they'll actually die out too quick. Now, PvP could be interesting again because he levels up when he gets a kill, which means, yeah, he could level up a lot faster. But remember, Cursed Realm, Nightmare Corridor, you do not kill anyone in there. So unfortunately, that part is not going to be there. It's going to be interesting. So should we get him? 100% absolutely free to play, pay to win, whales, anything should get him. But if you could only get one, Shahan is going to be the one out of the 2 that you absolutely want to get. And we've really said that from the absolute beginning, that she is going to be the one if you're only able to get one, which there is 100% no reason whatsoever that you shouldn't be able to get both of them, just for the simple fact they are giving you the resources to get the chest, and you also have a pretty big window to get both of them, which I highly do recommend. So all right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.